So after learning more about how technology is affecting selling process and how the recent trends in automation as well as virtual reality, augmented reality and artificial intelligence affect selling, there is another very important factor that also affects how a sales performance is getting impacted. So here in this module we are going to learn more about how to manage a diversified sales force. So diversity and inclusion can have positive and powerful impact on your sales team. People want to see themselves represented at companies they buy from, and a diverse sales force can more directly relate to the needs and wants of the people they are selling to. So therefore companies need alignment between workforce and customer base to ensure that their products talk to the customer who is buying them. So, but it should not forget that true diversity and the benefits that ensue comes from more than just gender. So, diversity and inclusion is not about just gender, it is more than that. A key part of this is to build a diverse and inclusive culture where everyone feels they can bring their full authentic self to the work. Although people are quick to assume that workplace diversity only means having more people of different gender or color in the office, the technical definition is hiring and retaining employees who represent number of different characteristics and walks of life. Diversity is about including others wherever possible, leveraging their strengths and respecting their opinions as well. When organizations bring together people of different gender, culture, nationality, or even socio-economic background, they get access to much richer set of innovative ideas. So having a more diverse group can actually be challenging as it takes time to get to know people and learn how to manage those who think or act very differently. But the benefits exceeds the cost. So how to involve more diversified sales force? We need to look back and we need to look at the processes that we employ while designing the sales force or selecting our salespersons and all. So the step 1 in this particular designing Salesforce process is setting out an objective for the sales force. So earlier companies had a single objective, only increasing sales, making it objective also for salespeople as well. So salespeople are asked to perform search for prospective clients or leads. Salespeople are asked to balance time between prospective customer and current customers, as well as there is effective communication of products and services should be ensured, which is very essential to close the deals. Salespeople also play an important role in after sales services as well and can make a difference for the company. So salespeople gather information about competition and customers as they are working in the field. With this we need to set more objectives, not just getting sales, right. So second step in designing a effective sales force is to using salespeople strategically. Salespeople have to combine efforts with other team members to achieve their objective. So the teamwork should be a good criteria to have a diversified sales force. Salespeople should be aware of how to analyze market data provided and convert them into marketing strategies. Coming to the third step, which is about deciding the structure of the sales force. Now there are different ways industries practices this kind of sales structures, and here are some 4 basic criteria or basic types of how sales force are structured across organizations. First type is a territorial structure, which is used where every sales representative is assigned a specific geographical area. This structure is preferred for building relationship with locals. A best example is what FMCG companies does. Companies like HUL, P&G and all, they use this territorial structure. A single representative is handling all the basket of related products and he is responsible for a sale in that particular region or territory. Second type of Salesforce structure is product structure, which is used for complex and unrelated product portfolios. Here the salespeople are directly associated with the research and development of the products. For example, in some sense pharmaceutical representatives. So they work with a particular division, let's say orthopedic, diabetic, and they handle the related products that are assigned to that particular product category. Third type of Salesforce structure is market structure, which is used if the companies are operating in different industry or market segments, and every Salesforce specializes in definite market and helps push a product efficiently across the given market. However, the disadvantage of this market structure is that it would arise if customers are located over a wide geographical area. then this market structure may not work efficiently. And the final is nothing but the combination of all these three, which we call as a complex structure of Salesforce, which is used when companies are in the business of selling complex products to different customers across large geographical area. And then once you have a Salesforce catering to different kind of markets and products or customers, next stage is designing of a compensation for the sales force. So compensation plays a big motivational factor for salespeople. Companies follow a structure of fixed amount plus kind of a variable amount attached to it based on the performance of a particular salesperson. Allowances play an important factor in the salary owing to a continuous travel that is involved across the market. An indifference point is something which is used by many organizations to decide whether they want to hire an extra salesperson or not. So an indifference point is a point where the cost of employing a sales agent equals to the cost of hiring a salesperson. So instead of giving my selling efforts to a third party or an agent on a commission basis, if I employ my own salesperson and it kind of gives me more benefit as compared to a sales agent, that point is called as an indifference point. And if it equals or more than that, then companies goes for hiring a particular salesperson, like their own sales force in that particular market or territory. And then how to measure the performance. Compensation needs to have been linked with performance of particular salesperson, and so there are different measures that are available that can be used to measure performance of your sales reps. So measures related to input and these include number of calls made, calls per potential client. Then we have calls per active account, like in pharmaceuticals also. Even if a particular physician is writing your products, a medical representative or marketing representative has to make minimum 2 to 3 visits in a month to that particular physician. So that's again one of the measure to measure the performance of salesperson. Number of quotations generated, that is in part an output measure also, and number of calls on prospects as well. Coming to the measures for individual salespeople, there are multiple measurements available. For example, sales revenue achieved in a particular time, let's say quarterly targets, profit generated from that particular territory, percentage gross profit margins achieved, sales per potential account, sales per active account, sales revenue as a percentage of sales potential, then number of orders generated from that particular base, and then sales to new customers and number of new customers added into the pipeline. So these are the few kind of individual salespeople focus measurement of performance indicators. Coming to kind of next level of measurement of performance, where we are using hybrid ratios. So companies use one of these or many of these at a time. For example, strike rate, which is nothing but number of orders generated divided by number of quotations that they have given. Sales revenue per call ratio, profit per call ratio, order per call ratio. These are again some of the hybrid ratios. Average order value is something which is very much important indicator to measure the performance of individual sales representatives. For example, sales revenue generated divided by number of orders. Similarly, when we are at the prospecting stage, we would like to know prospecting sales or success ratio, which is nothing but number of new customers divided by number of prospects visited, and then average profit contribution per order, right? So profit generated divided by number of orders. So these are the some hybrid ratios that can be employed to measure the performance of salespersons. Then these are the quantitative ones. So there are also some qualitative measures that can also be employed. For example, with respect to sales skills, like handling the opening and developing a rapport with the customer, identification of customer needs, quality of sales presentations, use of visual aids like brochures, templates and all by our salesperson, ability to overcome objections and ability to close the deal. These are some sales skill related measurements which are in qualitative nature. Customer relationship oriented qualitative measures include how well received is the salesperson, are customers well satisfied with the service, advice, reliability coming from that particular salesperson. With related to self organizations, whether the salesperson is preparing very well for the calls that he is making or appointments, organizing routine to minimize unproductive traveling, keeping customer records, providing market information. So these are all some of the qualitative indicators that define how well a salesperson is self organized. Coming to the product knowledge of salesperson, You can check whether their own products and their customer benefits and applications, competitive products and their benefits and applications. So does your salesperson have all this information so as to make smooth sales call or sales pitch? Again, with respect to cooperation and attitudes, you can check, how he is responding to the objectives determined by management, how he is getting, himself involved with a lot of initiatives, whether he is showing the lot of initiatives or not. And then with respect to attitude toward the following, like, company, its product, hard work, and also these are some qualitative measures that can also be employed to evaluate performance of a salesperson. Now, there are a lot of benefits of salesperson diversification. So, as we have seen, the designing of a sales force, at the same time, it's important to maintain the diversity, not in just terms of gender or kind of, color, but in terms of the way they are contributing across the organization hierarchy. So, there are multiple of benefits that are offered when Salesforce is very diversified, right? So, it enables a stronger customer connection. So, that's the first benefit. It also gives managers better access to top sales talent. It boosts innovation by introducing a new perspective, and it also promotes an engaged office as well. Let's look at each one of these in detail. The first benefit, that diversification enables a stronger customer connection. A diverse team with diverse practices can relate so much better to customers who themselves are more diverse, right? So today's customers are so diverse and they are located across the globe. So having a diversified sales force will actually make a strong customer connection. A sales force that reflects its audience can relate more easily, creating stronger connections between brand and consumer. These connections translate to trust, which help people make buying decisions more easily and more sooner. So that allows firms to close more sales and ultimately generate more revenue for the firm. Second benefit that diversification brings gives managers better access to top sales talent. In a field where great talent is very hard to find, diversification actually creates new recruitment opportunities for sales managers. So by publicizing in an inclusive working environment, advertising roles in varied spaces, and using considered language in job ads and descriptions, the company can actually widen their search for increasing their sales chances and finding a great talent or a great candidate for the sales job. Third benefit, that diversity also boosts innovation by introducing a new perspective. So Salesforce diversity allows managers to apply a range of perspectives to everyday business problems. This improves innovation, as team with varied perspective is more likely to find a new and more efficient and productive ways to work as compared to the routine works or routine kind of a decision that are taken. Coming to the fourth benefit, the diversity also promotes an engaged office. Benefit of increasing the diversity of the sales team is that it brings about higher level of employee engagement, and engagement is crucial to getting reps to perform at their highest level and give their best to the job. In fact, engaged sales representatives are not only more profitable, but they create stronger customer relationships and stay longer with the companies. So the churn rate or attrition rate can also be minimized when you have a diversified sales force. Then how to increase sales force diversity? So we acknowledge that there is an importance that one should have a diversified sales management of sales force. But then how to increase sales force diversity? So there are some suggestions. First one, remove personal biases from the recruitment process. So managers have their own personal biases and preferences that they impact judgment of the candidates they are interviewing with. So having a wide range of team members involved in the recruiting process can act as an important check against individual biases. Second suggestion is to bury old the sales stereotypes that persons are holding with them. So sales is too often seen as a male-driven industry, right? Whereas aggressive alpha types rise to the top. But buying into that stereotype when hiring can be detrimental to team's performance. And if you look at most of companies across globe, like we have our own example of Indra Nooyi heading PepsiCo to the newer heights. So even that kind of stereotype, male stereotype that it's a male-driven industry, and sales is something which should be only left to the male kind of gender. This kind of stereotype should be kind of avoided. Coming to the next suggestion is be candid about the company's efforts and remain open to outside help. Share the journey with customers and clients and explain the steps taken to improve diversity and inclusion efforts. Even United Nations now promote having diversity and inclusivity at the companies or businesses as one of the sustainable development goals. So developing relationship with organizations outside of the office can provide assistance in diversifying organizations as well. Aim for balance. So strength, balance, weaknesses and complementing talents create a unified team that can meet the needs of any client regardless of background. So when increasing the diversity of sales team, a recruiter should start with an in-depth understanding of the team already in place. So do we have a diversity already in the place? If you have at your organization, sustain it, balance it. If you don't have, try to balance it in your next effort or recruitment efforts. And just to understand the perspectives and talent that are lacking in your team. Look for diversity in recruitment options as well. So that is where everything starts, right? So from hiring the first time hiring the salesperson, so companies can also become more diverse in how and where they look for job applications. If a same company is recruiting from a single campus or let's say single area or geographical territory, it's very hard for them to maintain and balance the diversity, right? So for example, instead of only recruiting from the top 4 colleges, companies could become more flexible and consider candidates from other backgrounds, other kind of institutes as well. So after all, some of the world's greatest leaders don't even hold university degrees as well, right? So with that, we just concluded this module where we tried to understand how to manage a diversified sales force and what are the ways we can do that. Thank you.